So even before the podcast, you had told me that you already have a pretty strong bias against guns. So what is it that makes you hate guns so much?
When I was like 12 years old, I had an experience on the wrong end of a gun where I was being shot at.
Wow.
And that was not the last time. But the very first time, I was like 12, and the neighborhood we lived in, it wasn't a great neighborhood. And our church that we went to at the time was about 2 blocks away from our house. And so we would go to church, and our parents, they spent a lot of time at church. And so sometimes the kids would just be, like left to go out and play if they released us or whatever. And so one day, it's fall, we're playing like football. And the pastor's son, he really likes football. And he's a bigger kid. He's a couple years younger than me. His name is Otis. And they called him Little Otis, even though he was still bigger than me.
Funny how that works.
And across the street was another family. And their oldest son, his name was Peter. And Peter was a big dude. And I guess he got into it with some people. And I guess he could fight very well. And so I guess they were mad at him. And so one day when we're out playing football, this car, it comes down the street, and we're in the street playing football, and we spread out, let the car go by, and we just go back to playing football like it's nothing. And so we're playing football, the car comes out, goes by again. We don't think anything of it. By this time, it's the fall. By the third time, it's fall time, so it's kind of dark outside.
So the separation was between big timelines, or is this all in the same instance?
All in the same day.
Okay.
We could have been out there for hours. And the third time the car comes by again, I don't even know that it's the same car, but it is. And I see like a stick hanging out of the window, and I'm the farthest away from the car. And I see it coming, and I'm thinking, like, why would somebody have a broomstick hanging out of the window? And then next thing I know, I realize, oh, they're shooting, and I'm the farthest away. And so I immediately start running, and I feel bad even now, like, because these are like, my brother was out there. All of my friends from church and stuff, they're out there. Peter had 2 brothers. I had a brother out there. There were 2 other brothers, Dion and Steven. They were out there. And I never even say, like, hey, man, like, run. I just take off. And at the time when I'm running, it's like, man, it's just like we were in the movies, man. While we're getting shot at it, it's like a tunnel vision. And I'm just running, and I run to the back of the church, and I'm waiting for somebody to tell me, like, yeah, we can come out. And at the same time, I'm thinking, like, these people really want to kill us. Somebody may come back here and try to shoot me, try to kill all the witnesses. I'm only 12. And so I come back from around the church after I don't hear any more gunshots or anything. And I go in, and it's like complete, like, chaos. It's like a small church. And I see Peter's younger brother. His name was Chuck. He's holding his hand, and he's blowing on it like it's on fire. He got shot in the hand, and like all of these emotions just come back to me right at that point, at that moment. And I just started crying, and they're looking at me like, were you shot? Were you shot? No, I wasn't shot. But like, this is the most crazy situation that has ever happened ever. And Chuck, he's looking at me, and he's not crying at all. And I don't know, he looked at me with like total disgust, like, what's wrong with you, man? You ain't even been shot and you crying. But he was shot. The pastor's son, he got it the worst. I guess instead of trying to run past the church, he tried to run to the door of the church, and he got shot in the thigh, and he got shot in the back, in the lung. By the time I had come out, he was already gone. His dad, being a pastor and not wanting to wait for the ambulance to come in the neighborhood like that, he put him in his car and drove him himself. One kid was like covered in buckshots. Another one took a buckshot to the knee. Peter, they didn't get him at all, but he said that they were shooting at him with like some type of automatic weapon. And like, I was just like traumatized from that. It took me a long time to be able to sleep. And then I think it was even worse for me because I lived in that neighborhood.
Right.
Like some of the other kids, they
Right.
only came there for church. I lived there.
Right.
And I had to walk.